Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Beyond Influence. I am Kwame Appiah, one of your hosts. I'll pass it over to our co-host.
Hey, Scott Sutton, CEO of Waiter. Welcome back to another episode. I could not be more thrilled for today's episode. This one is very close to my heart, and I was the one who introed Nicole, Mike, and the team at the Best Marketing Strategy Ever /Mixoloshe /SMASHD to Kwame and the team. And I've been following their channel and what they're doing from a content creation perspective, from a marketing perspective. So many amazing things happening. So welcome, Nicole and Mike, to the podcast.
Great to be here, Scott. Thanks so much for having us.
So where to start? There's so many things. And I have to give some of our listeners context. If you haven't already, pause the video, go to Instagram, check out the Best Marketing Strategy Ever Instagram channel, get up to speed on what's been happening. And today, the day we're recording, is 6/10, which is the big infamous date for the team. So that's some context. And I guess to dive in, like, how did you, Nicole, and Mike get connected? Like, where was the inception of this whole journey?
Yeah, so Nicole started working for Christina Roth and Mixoloshe. So the Mixoloshe is founded by a very incredible and successful entrepreneur by the name of Christina Roth, and co-founded by, many people don't know this, but co-founded by Zayn Malik from One Direction. Nicole, you could tell your story probably better in terms of how you found Christina, but we ended up connecting, coming just a few months apart to join the Mixoloshe team, myself in the capacity as a sort of fractional CMO at the time. And Nicole really was indeed an intern from the very beginning of this. I know there's a lot of question marks regarding, was she really an intern? Is she an actress? What's the whole deal? But no, I mean, Nicole really was an intern from the beginning of this.
Yeah, basically how I found her was I decided to challenge myself to do a year of no drinking last May 20th of 2023. And also alongside of that, I quit my corporate job because I didn't like it at all and I wanted to find something different. And while I was job hunting, I came across this LinkedIn page and I clicked on Christina's name and I started doing research on her and read a Forbes article and her whole background. And I was like, hold up, this woman is awesome. Like, I have to work for her. And so I got connected with her because I actually had a connection through my boyfriend, funnily enough. And I asked to work for her and she said no. And then I asked again and she said no again. And then I asked for a month and she still said no. And finally, I just, persistently patient with me. I offered to work for free or in an intern capacity because, startup. And she was like, we just can't give you a full-time job at the moment. And I was like, well, I'll do anything. And so she said, okay, you can be an intern. And that's how it started.
That's amazing. I just love the persistence. And we talk a lot about the creator journey and just being successful in life and a business. Is so much of it is not who has the best idea or necessarily the best execution. It's also those who are so persistent and don't quit and just continue to kind of persist and find different ways to be successful. So I love that as a personal story. I love the way you found it too, this kind of no alcohol challenge and, getting inspired. I think for a lot of people, the chance to work with someone truly inspirational is such an important part of their career. So I'm glad you found that. And Mike, I'm curious, how did you end up connecting with the Mixoloshe team and coming on board?
Yeah, so I had known Christina through a mutual friend like many years ago. My background is sort of intersection of media and marketing and tech. So I had been sort of working on this like little side project that Christina had come across, which was this online community that I created for dads called Dad Pack. And it's basically, a fun celebration of fatherhood, a page where we've grown it to, over 1 million followers in the last basically a year and a half. And she was excited by that. And I had some successes in the marketing space before. So she reached out and kind of pitched me a little bit on her vision for Mixoloshe. And really, much like Nicole, I had, I've got 3 kids, approaching middle age. If not, maybe I already am middle age. And I sort of stopped drinking in the last couple of years as well. It just wasn't, it's sort of at odds with my life and my lifestyle. It's already hard enough to, wake up every morning at 4:30 with kids jumping on you. I don't really want to be waking up with a hangover. So I was really intrigued with what she was doing. And I was like, well, look, I'm pretty busy right now, but send over some product and, let's have a conversation. And she sent over some product and I was really blown away, quite frankly. Like, I had done some marketing work for Athletic Brewing in the past. And when I'd had my first Mixoloshe Old Fashioned, I was like, oh my God, like she's done for non-alcoholic cocktails what Athletic Brewing had done in the beer space. Like she's made it taste like the real thing. And that's really, really cool because it's not just like a soda or a sparkling water. Like it really has this sort of unique flavor experience. And so I was a believer in the product. And then after a few months, she had convinced me to come join in a more full-time capacity right around the time that, she was launching the brand in the fall. And so Nicole and I started working together. I guess it was like officially in November, maybe early December. And we really just started to, I think I sort of approached all of these, marketing campaigns and marketing ideas is much like you would approach a startup, which is throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what's going to work. And if you start to get some signal from an audience that they're intrigued with the type of content that you're putting out there, like keep pulling on that thread and keep pulling on that thread. And so we had tried, a couple different things for the first few months and, following trends and seeing, if we could get some traction on any of these ideas. Simultaneously, we had been having a conversation regarding the need for a rebrand. And the primary reason behind that was, Mixoloshe is meant to be sort of a play on mixology, which is sort of the art of making cocktails. And it was really hard for people to pronounce. Like, it's sort of a tongue twister. We had, people calling it Mixoloshe and Mixoloshe and like all sorts of like, so that was really challenging. And then also just like, it was really challenging. It's a gendered name and our product actually tastes good for everyone. It really wasn't just solely designed for women to buy. And so we kind of sort of felt like we were cutting off half of our consumer base. So we'd been having all these conversations like, what could we do? We just launched, it's crazy to be going through a rebrand right after you just launched. We have all this inventory. So we sort of had that idea parked in the back of our mind. And then, you want me to just keep going here into how the whole campaign went or keep rolling? All right.
There's so many questions I have on, even down to the production quality. The first video, it's like very much iPhone set on a chair vibes. Is this a design aesthetic and the whole plan is to get bigger and bigger? Or is it like, no, we're just going to go try this. So like literally go smash a can in your backyard. And that's the video. I'm curious how planned out, how orchestrated, and like, obviously Nicole's personality like shines through and there's so much of like that element. I'm just curious how you wove all those different elements together.
Yeah. So the true origin of everything is I came across an account late winter, early spring called Monkey Marketing. And it was a guy who had been putting a picture up of a monkey. And the caption was, I want to prove to my marketing professor that this picture of a monkey was actually more effective than his marketing strategy. And he started getting some traction.
Saw this. Sorry, it's funny how the algo works, but I've definitely seen the picture of the monkey thing. Yeah. I didn't log the connection. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was really fascinated by this construct of like having a goal, content every single day for a period of time. However, like with monkey marketing, like they weren't really marketing anything. It was just, the followers were kind of the goal, the end goal. And that was the currency that they were trading in. And so I wanted to come up with like our version of that, basically. And like, there were a few ideas where we were going to do like, we weren't going to kind of count down. We were going to count up. And then we were like, are we going to smash as many cans as many followers we get? Like we had like a bunch of different sort of ideas. And then like one day, Nicole and I were having our sort of weekly, call. And I was just like, look, Nicole, just go in your backyard, literally, as you said, and take a baseball bat and smash a can. That's it. Just like smash a can. And I text her the caption. It's like 60 days remaining to prove to my boss that smashing this can is more effective than his entire marketing strategy. And, we set the stakes as her getting a full-time job here at Mixoloshe. She's an intern. She was really an intern. And so that was it. So she was like, she was kind of like, just smash a can. It's like, all right, like whatever, like, let's do it. And so cause she's always just so down for everything. And, first video she posts, we get a couple hundred views. Second video she posts, we get maybe 1,000 views and 15 followers. And then the third video she posts, she gets 30 million views on it. And it was like just the perfect, like she made like a really funny noise after she swung the bat, and like the internet like loved it. It was just like a hiya or something like that. And anyhow, the video went like totally bonkers viral. And that's when we like kind of all huddled and came together, and we were like, this is our opportunity to really do something special here. And so we immediately, took a step back and started to think about kind of what the big picture would be here. Like what could this look like if we do this really well? What would we want to get out of this? What's worked well in the past? And from there, pivoted quickly, filed the trademark for SMASHD, and began to really sort of run multiple storylines in this campaign. So you sort of had the creative like production of Nicole actually smashing the cans in unique ways, and it's just really sort of funny. You have the storyline of this like unsupportive boomer millennial boss who's just not really at all with the times and interested in what his intern is doing, and it sort of just kind of tapped into, I think, everyone's like, it was just constructed in a way that it could like tap into everyone's like personal experience. Like everyone's sort of had a bad boss that hasn't believed in them, or has had someone that sort of undermined their ideas. And I think that really resonated with people. Like Nicole really represented, a hero in fighting back against those bad experiences. And so I had to assume the role of horrible Mike, which was really hard. And yeah, that's sort of how it all began.
So I had to ask Nicole, like, what was your mindset? Like 30 million views. You had to be like freaking out and like running around your house or something, just that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't journal as much during this whole process, because I've done a lot of reflecting over the past 60 days. Cause I mean, it's just still a little bit unreal. Like, what the heck? I can't believe this happened. But I do remember kind of being like, oh, wow, okay, this is a really big deal. And then right away, Mike and I just started making a plan. And for that first 40 some days, it was me and then my roommate who would film me. And all of a sudden we had this huge audience that we had to just keep making the videos better and better and come up with different ideas and start incorporating costumes. And I don't know. I remember feeling a little bit intimidated, like, holy cow, I can either take this and really run with it or, not. And so it was mixed feelings, I think.
in all honesty, it's funny that it's a page called the best marketing strategy ever. Because in all honesty, like this does feel like the best marketing strategy ever. It has all these incredible like points and areas that y'all focus on. Like you had all the different bullet points that would appeal to a massive audience, and you got people interested, you got people bought, and you had other people try their own versions of smashing. And so it's an incredible collaboration of all these ideas, and you see it coming in. Like I really want to know, what was that moment where you hit and you were like, wow, like we struck gold, like how did that feel?
I remember it because I remember sitting on the couch with my wife. It was like a Sunday, and I had been on calls all day with Nicole, and we were talking about different Smash videos and things. And I was like I just remember telling her, like, this is going to be big. Like I'm going to need your support over the next couple of weeks. And she was like, I got you. And like, it ended up, I really needed her support, because I ended up having to leave her, solo with the kids for basically 3.5 weeks while we were traveling and filming all this stuff. But yeah, it was just seeing like the passion with which the community was engaging and the ideas that they were bringing to the table, and like they were truly just really, really invested in the success of Nicole. And I think also, one of the storylines that was really important to me from the beginning was sort of, I say radical transparency, because like, of course, like this was all, a little bit of like a movie. And we definitely stretched the truth on certain things, but we were very much so radically transparent about the impact on the business. And when I started to see this translate to sales and traffic, and really, we were smashing sales records, and it was really, to me, like, wow. A lot of times in my experience, like these viral campaigns are good. They like are super helpful for top of funnel awareness, but to like actually drive conversions from a really low budget organic campaign like this, it was a real moment for me where I was like, wow, we're really onto something here.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's funny that you mentioned the word budget. One of the questions that I really had was, once you hit a certain point, like, was there a budget when y'all initially started this? And then was there a point where you were like, all right, we have to throw that out the window, invest every dollar into this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a really good question. There wasn't really a budget when we first started, because we didn't really know what it would become. We were just like, let's just try this. And then the moment we started to see some traction, like the budget increased, to be able to get costumes and to be able to help for Nicole's roommate, who was a saint in helping us film some of these. and it was really like, we had so much content to create every day, because we weren't just doing the actual videos, we were doing the storyline content and everything. So we did, as it started to get more and more successful, begin to throw money at the problem so that we could focus on continuing to like move things forward. But here's what I'll say. If it weren't, so we did the $10,000 giveaway camp. So this was like a whole lesson. Like this whole thing was like, build the plane as you fly it, right? Like we're making decisions every single day based on like how people are responding, what's getting good engagement, what's not. So we decided to do this $10,000 giveaway to like really fuel growth. And the campaign got taken down by Instagram. We modeled it exactly after Mr. Beast's latest campaign that he did on where he gave away 36 Teslas to the T. Like the terms and conditions, like everything was like very much so modeled after that. And somehow we got taken down. And we still don't know why. We posted it again and it got taken down again. And then like a day later, Instagram just reinstated it. And it was like such a thrash moment for the community. We were like, what should we do? Should we try and run it? Like we really haven't squeezed all the juice out of this $10,000 campaign or this $10,000 giveaway. And finally we were just like, I was just too worried. We were too worried that Instagram was like, we were doing something wrong and we didn't really know what was going on. So we just decided not to to go through with it. But the total budget for everything on this campaign was just under $30,000. We spent $10,000 on, and $10,000 of that was for the botched giveaway. It wasn't totally botched. We got some traction out of it, but yeah, I mean, the biggest expenses were, the tank video and the explosion in Las Vegas. And then aside from that, I mean, all the costumes and stuff were Amazon, and we had some travel expenses to go film with Gary Vee and stuff like that. But aside from that, like it was relatively low budget.
So it's so funny to me that people latch onto that about the costuming. I'm like, girl, you can go on Amazon and just search literally any person, character in any movie, and you can find something for 30 or 40 bucks. So we just, I was good about planning, and we just get the costume and then it comes and you film, and it wasn't that expensive.
I do love that. It's like, college party prep mentality versus like full production. We need like a seamstress and all this crazy costume design. I think that is part of what makes it so endearing is I'll say like the explosion video, like the costuming and that, the whole execution, the camera work, like there was like another level of production on that, but everything else, I think that was like part of the draw was that it felt more authentic to like the whole way it was being produced. So I'm curious, and I don't, our listeners might not know, but Nicole also has a very successful past as, and I'm going to mess it up, but as a part of kind of the Miss Texas pageant system. I don't know but very successful. And I was like, who is this Nicole? There's got to be a backstory. And so started to look at your profile and dig in. One reflection I had, and I love, Mike, what you talked about, like support and from your family and like Nicole, your roommate. But I think about what, being in a pageant and that process of being so highly controlled, always showing up in this like perfect way. Was there a weird kind of moment for you, Nicole, where you're like, I'm showing up on social media in all these costumes, smashing cans, and this is like very juxtaposed to this training I've had to be perfect and to be completely buttoned up and everything dialed in? Did it feel natural? Was it different? Like, I feel like there had to be something there mentally of like, putting yourself out there to so many people in a different way.
Yeah, I love that you asked this question because it's one of the biggest things I've learned from this campaign, both for myself personally, but then also for an organization that I care very deeply about. And especially in the aftermath of the whole Miss USA debacle. I'm not sure if you read about that in the news, but basically the USA organization, I Compete in America, they were controlling their girls. Like the girls had no freedom to post on social media. Everything had to be checked. They wouldn't let them post certain things that didn't pass some type of inspection. And I think that's something that pageantry can do so much better, that we're past the time of people wanting to see perfectly curated content. It's just not as relatable and it's not as much fun to watch, and it's harder to build a community around that. And so at first it was really difficult. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I was like, oh, I'm being a total weirdo on the internet. And over the past 60 days, I love it. And I've grown so much personally and professionally because, and Mike has really helped me with this too, that when you let go of what people think about you, it's so much easier to be successful, I think. And I've taken that mentality into my Miss Texas content and into the actual competition. I'm competing in 2 weeks. And I'm really excited to share that perspective of, yeah, I compete in pageants, but I don't need to have this perfect face on social media.
I love that. And, we talk a lot about authenticity and getting to know yourself and, connecting we talked about like connecting your head and your heart and your identity and like what you stand for. And when you do that, the community follows. And, I think it's interesting too. We talk about the power that brands have and the deep care that brands and brand marketers actually have for the clientele they're serving. And like, Mike, your story about, wanting to step away from alcohol, and Nicole, you as well, like on your year-long journey, and then seeing this product that's really high quality, that helps people in a variety of ways, and has like a deeper purpose and meaning for the clientele. Like, I think a lot of people's like, oh, it's just like a canned beverage company. But I think the level of connection with clientele and trying to better their lives, like there's something to be said there. And I think other brand marketers or creators can learn a lesson about authenticity and connecting with people as humans. And I think that is the unique power of social media, is it allows us to connect with people we would never, ever have the opportunity to do so otherwise.
Totally.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, a big part of what's important to this brand, formerly Mixoloshe, now SMASHD, is that there is so much stigma around not drinking and not having fun. Like, if you don't drink, you're not fun. You can't have a good time. You can't get weird. You can't get wild. You're stiff. And like, I think with this campaign, especially, like, we've tried to really embody the fact that like you can have an absolute blast and not drink alcohol. And I think like that's kind of the whole vibe for what we're going for moving forward, is really leaning into that, just kind of smashing the stigma around what it means to not drink. And Nicole is like an absolute pro at these videos, and like just, taking that to the next level. So
yeah, it was like driving a tank and blowing up a car and having no alcohol related is a milestone of sorts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think touching on a couple of things, I think starting on what Nicole was just speaking to, and I think when I look at any kind of foundation or platform that I've ever built, I think it's cool that you're having this moment, Nicole, where you are seeing things that affect something that you deeply care about. And you now have this platform, and hopefully you'll be able to leverage that to talk about those things and maybe help the people who are being affected by things within, a past that was really, really sacred to you, and you care about those things. So I don't know. I love the idea and the ability of gaining a platform and using it for things that you really care about. And when we think about all these things coming together and the connections that are created through the journeys of creators and influencers, however you want to refer to them, I do think the connections that you create are amazing, right? And so we all want to know how to create certain connections, and we can talk about, maybe the connections that we have here, or so on and so forth. But you had a moment with Gary Vee, and I'm sure that people who listen to this want to understand how to put themselves in positions to meet people like Gary Vee. So I'd love to know how that was all set up.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you want me to jump in? Yeah. Yeah. So early on, he said in his podcast when he was talking about Nicole that she had like 37 followers. I think she was probably a little bit further along than that. But early on, one of Gary's colleagues, Nick Dio, had found the account and reached out. And I think Nick was like, "Oh my God, I found the next star for VaynerMedia." And I responded, I was like, not looking for. He was like, not looking for. He was like, let us know if you want to come work for VaynerMedia. And I was like, how about we start by having Gary smash a can? And he just kind of laughed. And he and Gary sort of followed along throughout the journey. And at one point, I think we were at around like 375,000 followers, and I would always like send him a little DM, just like waving from Nicole The Intern, like, "Hi, Nick, like, don't forget about us." And he finally wrote, he was like, "Okay, Nicole, it's time. you're coming to New York." So yeah, he reached out and he set up the opportunity to do it with Gary. And it was such a great full circle moment, because he became a character in the storyline early by, recognizing her. And we were trying to squeeze on everything that we could find to continue to build hype for the story. Like, we had some local news person pick it up early on, and we were showing that to like build a little momentum, and then Gary mentioning in the podcast. And so to have that full circle moment of Gary come back, after she had already hit 500, she'd already accomplished her goal without Gary. It was really cool. And he and his team couldn't have been nicer and more supportive, to give us that time. And So yeah, that was really cool.
So I'm curious. Now we're at the big rebrand day. We hit the big goal. You did get the job, although you kept the title. As that was a controversial moment. I love like all this stuff. It's like the ultimate power move is turning down the title, keeping the intern. But where do you go from here? Like, how do you continue to evolve that account? Do you rebrand it now to the SMASHD account? Like, there's so many questions I have. Is like, there was a time-bound nature to this and a virality. How do you keep that momentum high?
Yeah.
And keep the Smash Army, keep the audience engaged, and keep driving the brand forward?
It's a good question. Boss Mike would say it's a flash in the pan, right? But yeah, it's a really good question. I think, what we would like to do, just given sort of the success to this point, is we have a community of 500,000 people who have literally created this brand in the past 60 days. They are so invested in Nicole. They are so invested in this, in having been able to take part in this process. And we very much so intend to keep that going. I think in terms of what we do with the page specifically, this is something that we've talked a lot about. And I was thinking about this morning. It's like, I don't want us to decide that. I want the community to decide what we're going to do with this page. I think we're going to rebrand the existing Mixoloshe page to SMASHD, and this is going to be the page for the Smash Army. And we sort of, I would like to try and do something a little bit different with this, and it's we're still having conversations in terms of like how we could actually pull this off, but I would really like for this community that we've built to be able to take part in the ownership of the success of Mixoloshe and the success of SMASHD in some capacity. So we need to figure out like what that looks like, and how we could actually, pull that off. But I really do believe that there's an opportunity here for us to continue to, work with our community to determine the future of this company, and how amazing would it be if we've built this community created, community owned beverage brand that goes on to do great things. So I think that is like, there's all sorts of potential storylines we're playing into, and like different ideas. But in general, I think like, high line is we really want to make sure that, this community feels invested in the success of the company, and this is the Smash Army's company after all. So whatever we do next, it's going to it's going to respect that.
I love that. It's funny. Kwame and I talk a lot, and I think part of my job and our job as business leaders is to like dream bigger than most people would. It's very easy to see Smash Fest with musical artists, can smashing, content creation opportunities, celebrating like not having to go drink, but having a great time, kind of like outdoor style. Like there's so many cool things like I can imagine.
Sure.
And like meetups and connections and being a part of like a non-alcoholic version of a lot of the major events that could be cool in a whole different way. Yeah, does Coachella need to be like everyone smash dancing? Could it be, I guess smash that has a double meaning now, but everyone, it could be everyone smashed in a different way. But anyway, so I think that there's so many opportunities to explore connecting the community. And I keep coming back in my mind to this. You have such an amazing community. How do you, like you said, give them direction, but also connect them and allow them to actually meet in person or virtually, connect with you all in the brand in new and experiential ways. It's like there's so many cool opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually talked a lot about like we're going to be doing like we want to do a SMASHD pop up, basically like have like a rage room, SMASHD rage room that we're going to activate at all of our off premise partners. We're going to have Nicole do some stuff there. Like we want to build out like there's all sorts of things. Like we want to build out like a Smash factory, and like imagine basically like the childhood dream of like all of the destruction, the most like epic tools of destruction that you could possibly have. Like almost like Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory, but just for Smash. I mean, there's all sorts of different like directions and cool, fun things that we could do. But I think, the most important is that like we are really making sure that this community, knows that they're appreciated and they can take part in the success of this in a meaningful way.
I think recurring themes whenever we have these conversations, I know that community is a big one, and I love that you keep referring to it, because without our communities, we really don't have a whole lot, right? Our communities really power everything that we do moving forward. And, as Scott and I both at Later, like a big part of what Later tries to do is kind of close that gap between the community, the creator, and the brands that they're working with. And y'all have married it in such an incredible way. It used to be that social and brand was so far apart, and like people would just like have these one-off, like, yeah, let's see if we can get this one creator to create something that then connects, and we'll see where it goes, and it powers impressions and so on and so forth. But now it is a beautiful matriculation of actual growth in not just the business in a massive way, not just the page, not just the brand, but the community. And it all comes together, and it's being married in such a cool way. So I love what y'all have done. I think it's super cool. I'm excited to see how it moves going forward. And as we have this podcast, there's a few stable questions that we like to ask, and I know that you've had some incredible people that you've probably encountered along the way, like Gary Vee. But if we were to put this out to the world and say, hey, SMASHD or Mixology or Mike or Nicole would love to collaborate with someone else out there, who would it be?
We both want to do a Dude Perfect collaboration, primarily because the Dude Perfect headquarters is right by Nicole in Dallas. So Dude Perfect, if you're listening, let's hang out.
Yeah. 20 minutes away from my house.
Yeah, we love that. So we're gonna make sure we're gonna send that to Dude Perfect. So Dude Perfect, if y'all are listening, please make sure we reach out to SMASHD. And another question that I always love to touch on as well is, obviously y'all, as it says, have had the best marketing strategy ever, but nothing is perfect. Right. And so with that being said, was there anything along the way, any campaigns or ideas that you kind of threw out that didn't exactly hit, or is there anything along that journey that you wish you did a little different?
Oh man, there's a lot. Nicole, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'm going to kind of answer your question, but a little bit off. In terms of my main job was creating the videos every day. So, I would look at the comments and kind of 70% do what our community wanted, and then 30%, if they didn't have any new suggestions, come up with my own things. Whereas Mike mostly handled the storyline. So I'm sure Mike has a whole, different responses to what this question would be. But I think for my part, something that I just struggled with, and it wasn't necessarily decisions that we made. It was just the fact that this took off in such an exciting and huge way. And then all of a sudden we had a lot of people that on face value really seemed to believe what was like, that I was going to be fired. And this is my first experience in marketing. Before I was an IT recruiter. And so in large part, I'm learning a lot about what marketing is and everything that goes into it. And so for a while I did kind of struggle with, yes, I'm an intern, but like, it's kind of a shtick, and it really is a shtick, and people do they know that? Do they not know that? And so that was kind of hard. I think for me, the most difficult part.
Yeah. I mean, we had half of the people who were like, this is a shtick and I'm here for it. And then half of the people were like, Mike is the worst human being in the world. Like, how could you possibly work for that guy? And trust me, like, I read every single comment, and someday I'll do a mean tweets read on those. But yeah, that was definitely, and like, I felt a lot of responsibility because knowing Nicole was like super mindful of that as well, like to make sure that this was treated properly as it ended. So, that was definitely a big challenge. The campaign, the contest not going the way, we wanted to was a big issue. Another one was, guys, we didn't expect to hit 500,000 followers in 40 days. we thought this was going to we thought we would be sliding into the end of this thing, maybe if we were lucky, and like, or maybe we would have to do this thing, like do the rebrand without actually having hit the goal. So then we hit, 40 days into this thing, we hit 500,000 followers. Like, fortunately, timing wise, like we had planned to be in Vegas to do this last shoot, and like we had the content for that last thing. But then I was like, man, I got 20 days to figure out how we're going to keep people interested in Nicole smashing cans. Like, how are we going to do this? And the answer was like, we needed to up the creativity of the can smash videos and the production value, and like really make sure we were leaning into it and kind of try and keep the storyline going. But we didn't, and then we had like weird things with Instagram, which we still don't really have answers to, where like there was like 5 days where our content wasn't being seen by any non-followers. And so there was like a bunch of weird stuff behind the scenes, and we'll totally open the kimono on all this stuff eventually. But it was like every single day you would have a plan, and then you'd wake up and something would happen, and you'd be like, okay, we need a new plan. Like, how are we going to, how are we going to respond to this? And I will say throughout this whole experience, like I have the utmost respect for content creators in terms of the amount of work that goes into delivering like a really exceptional performance on a daily basis. Like, there's a like, oh, you're an influencer. And like, no, it is a lot. The planning, the preparation, the like execution, the community management, all of that stuff. It is insanely challenging. And if done well, it's like a whole team's full-time job. So it's that to me, I don't think understood the full picture there. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's definitely a recurring theme for us is, a lot of people want to be content creators. We had Jason Tardik on, and it was funny. He had a line. He was like, okay, you want to be a content creator. Every day you need to make a post every day of the week, and then you need to have 3 stories a day. And he's like, after doing that for 7 weeks, tell me what works and not. And I'm doing the mental math of like creating 300 pieces of content in like whatever 7 weeks. And it's exhausting. I can barely think of a new thing to say, once per day. And so like having something relevant to say, and all the production worked, depending on what your content is, even just nailing a story correctly, then cutting it up, getting it out there, and like you said, fielding the comments, engaging with the community. There's just so much behind it.
Yeah.
I did have a question, because like there was a whole bot incident, and then the whole kind of shadow banning piece. Was that all actual?
Yeah, that was real. That was real. So, well, actually, I don't know what was. The truth is, on that point, like we don't really know what happened. So, this is what I can tell you. We were in Vegas, we were in Oregon. We were filming, and we knew that we were going to hit 500,000 within the next couple days, and it was like a Saturday or something, or Friday. And I was watching the numbers like very closely. You can watch, if you jump into insights, like see the actual number, so how fast you're growing. And we had like these really weird spikes, like right, probably around 480,000 followers, where it would like jump up like 1,000 or 2,000 followers. And then I was just keeping an eye on it. And like that day we like had the biggest growth. Like our biggest growth day prior to that was like 20,000 followers. Like that day like went up to like almost 30. And I was like, and then that night we hit 500,000 followers. We didn't expect to hit it for 3 more days. And then things got really weird. We hit the 500,000, and we were like, all right, like we would expect to just keep blasting through if like this growth rate was like really indicative of like, the reality. And it was honestly, Scott, like I thought we were being trolled. Like I thought someone had said, okay, I'm going to buy, 5,000 followers for this account to get them over the line. And then I'm going to keep them right on the line. And it was literally like new followers were coming in at the exact pace the bot accounts were being deactivated. And we were stuck at like this 500,000 mark for so long. And I was like, are we in insta jail? Like all of that was like, we had no idea what was going on, but we didn't not only like it ourselves, we didn't like the way it looked. We were like, oh God, we look like we're doing something weird here. And we didn't do anything weird. This was 100% organic. And so anyhow, that was sort of still unresolved. I think like we didn't really, like we got out of that, we got like up to 507,000, and we did the Gary collab, which kind of shot us up to like 520. But who knows the real answer there? I think like part of the community was just there because it was like this GameStop meme stock. Nicole trying to screw her boss over. Great, I'm here for it. Take my follow. Okay, she hit her goal. I'm out. And so maybe a part of it was like people saw that she hit her goal and they didn't really care anymore. Maybe part of it was we got botted by someone, and then Instagram saw this influx of bots, and then we were, somehow shadow banned. We had been in touch with the Meta team, like during the whole thing. And they were like, there are no restrictions on your account. Like they finally told us that after like about a week. So I don't know. Who knows? It was nerve-wracking though. It was nerve-wracking for sure.
Yeah. I think whatever it was though, it was so cool. Going back again to the radical transparency piece that Mike was telling about, was his first instinct was like, we have to let the community know. And so he made a post and did our little funny voice. And immediately it was, hey, this is what's happening. This is what we think is happening. Because people, of course, were like, what's wrong with your followers? What's going on with your followers? And it was
a perfect opportunity to blame it on Mike, right? It was a perfect opportunity to like blame it on the awful boss who was trying to sabotage Nicole.
I die with the Mike character storyline. We talked with quite a few people who are on reality TV. We always talk about getting portrayed bad in the edit, but you're the one who edited your own self into the villain corner, and now you have to like deal with the bait.
My wife was like, "You're a sicko. You secretly love this."
I do think it's a good reminder that storytelling is what engages folks, and just the amount of storylines, the amount of different things that people like. I was there for the original run up. And then I called it like the 501, 502 days. There was like that 5 or 6 days you were just stuck. And I was like, oh, this is drama. What's happening? I'm here for it. And then I'm checking every day to see like, are they unstuck? And there was so many different storylines to follow, and just good storytelling, having a lot of different ways for people to engage or get emotionally invested was I think part of the recipe for success.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
Well, it looks like we're kind of coming up to the end of this, and so I wanted to just take a moment to separate Mixoloshe and Smash, and really just focus on Mike and Nicole for a sec before we get out of here. I'd love to know for y'all. It's a celebration. Y'all hit where y'all want it to be. What do y'all have planned for the summer? What's going on? What's fun? What are you excited about that's coming up?
Well, Nicole's about to become Miss Texas, so she's got no plans. No, go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, we'll see. This is my 4th time competing, and I'm really, really excited. I, over the past 4 years, have grown a lot personally, have grown in the organization as a competitor. And then really, I mean, working with this team has been such a privilege, and I've very exciting things to talk to the judges about. And my onstage performance, I'm hyped for. I'm an Irish dancer. So my talent is Irish dancing. If you're free on Saturday, June 29th, go to pageantslive.com. Unless you live in Texas, then it will be on TV. And watch the finals night competition, because it'll be really great.
I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, for me, this really does represent the beginning of this journey with SMASHD, and I'm incredibly excited about the opportunities that we have to do marketing differently with this company. And, ultimately beverage brands are really, good, successful beverage brands are really just media companies that happen to sell a beverage product. And I feel like we have an upper hand in that sense. So, going through this rebrand, we've sort of announced it. We've got a lot of things going on behind the scenes here in terms of getting ready, but expect to see some really exciting content coming from this company, over the next couple months.
Amazing. Well, we really appreciate the time. We're huge fans of both y'all and Smash. We look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do next. And, just to see that good people do prevail, and good ideas and putting yourself out there leads to success. So we're huge champions of you. Thank you for your time. And that was a great episode. And until the next one, we'll see y'all later.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thank
See
you.
y'all next time.
Appreciate it.